back in the 1990s when reporters heard that a private tape of Playboy star Pamela Anderson was being shared without her consent. Not only did they fail to come to her defense, but they didn't even pretend to hide their excitement about the videos released, and they seemed almost honored to share this good news with an audience that they knew was going to lap it up. Time magazine even awarded Seth that honor as a digital pioneer after he shamelessly profited off of Pam's private life, and they justified his unjustifiable behavior by writing, "Guess what? It works." A webmaster at another adult site was quoted at the time saying, "Ethics schmethics. The guy's sitting on a mountain of cash. We should all hope to be so successful." But when Pam had explained that she was being exploited and when she looked to the courts for legal protection, judges were quick to declare that she had forfeited her right to privacy and that the public was entitled to spectate as she made love to her husband. But the legal system and the media had a much different reaction many years later after a video was published of a man involved in a sex scandal. Suddenly, people found their morals real quick and declared how awful it was that this dude's privacy was being invaded. The footage showed pro wrestler Hulk Hogan getting very intimate with his best friend's wife.
So let me understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Last time you were here, you said to me, you looked me in the eye point blank, and you said, I would never break the man code. I would never bang another guy's wife. Well, what happened?
I let my best friend my hot wife. I did.
Were you attracted to her at all?
No, she was a friend. I mean, I really didn't know her very well. It was kind of like a group hug.
When a guy walks out of the room, like Hulk Hogan, a great friend of yours, and he's been with your wife, I don't understand how weird that's got to be.
I mean, I didn't really think about too much about it.
An excerpt of the video was posted in 2012 by a celebrity news site called Gawker, who, of course, argued that the clip was protected as journalism.
It was in the context of a story. I believe it was newsworthy, and so it is a story that we would do again.
Now, just like Pam Anderson, Hulk Hogan had spoken openly about his sex life. He'd even chatted about the size of his member.
You're claiming to maybe have a 10-inch.
I'm not claiming those are facts, Judge.
Hulk had even talked to Howard Stern about the encounter that was shown in the video.
Hulk Hogan was talking about his sex life incessantly on TMZ, on the Howard Stern show. He was joking about this tape.
Talking about it's a lot different than having somebody illegally post the tape when you're seen naked in front of 7 million people. Just what they've shown has totally devastated, and I can't even begin to tell you how bad.
So obviously you can see that there were a lot of major similarities between Pam Anderson's experiences and Hulk Hogan's. The difference here, though, was when it came to Hulk Hogan, the news now quoted legal activists who came to his defense. The director of the Cyber Civil Rights Initiative was quoted as saying, "It doesn't matter if you are promiscuous or not promiscuous. You should be able to control who sees you naked." Hulk's attorney also declared that his public persona is not the issue. It's that websites have a duty to act in a decent and responsible manner.
This had nothing to do with political speech, freedom of ideas, freedom of words. It had to do with invading Terry Bollea's privacy for the most base of reasons, which was great.
Hulk's attorney also warned that the privacy of every American is at risk if this sensitive material about Hulk was allowed to be published online for anyone to see.
I hope that he fights it all the way for all of us.
Now, joining in the outrage was the famous and very rich tech billionaire Peter Thiel, who was an early investor in Facebook and a co-founder at PayPal. And Peter is so down with Hulk's cause that he even chips in $10 million to cover Hulk's legal bills.
Will you press charges?
Oh,
You're
yes,
going
sir.
ahead with this.
Yes,
because
sir.
you've got to prove to the
I
world,
gotta
too, that
find
you're
out who
not
did
in on
this
it.
to
Yeah,
me.
right.
So Hulk goes to court, but unlike with Pam and Tommy's cases, where the court repeatedly denied their request to stop Penthouse or IEG from sharing their tape, a judge in Hulk Hogan's case takes his side, granting his request that the news site Gawker remove the video from the web. But Gawker is like, nah, a judge told us to take down our Hulk Hogan sex tape post, but we won't. So Hulk takes him to court again.
Hulk Hogan could hold his own in the ring, but how about the courtroom?
Hogan seeking $100 million for the alleged invasion of privacy.
Hulk Hogan back on the stand getting grilled in his $100 million lawsuit against the website Gawker.
No, seriously, I do not have a 10-inch penis. No, I do not. Seriously.
It turns out it's a mere 7, which in my experiences is a good 4 inches more than anyone needs.
and ultimately, a jury rules in favor of him, and they order that news site Gawker to pay him $140 million in damages, and as a result, Gawker has to file for bankruptcy and put itself up for sale.
Breaking news in the Hulk Hogan sex tape trial. Tonight, a bombshell verdict for Hulk Hogan.
This morning, the 6 jurors who awarded Hulk Hogan more than $140 million in his case against Gawker.
There's absolutely no doubt that the decision we make was absolutely correct.
Even if he knew he was being recorded, there's still no right to put that out there if he doesn't want it put out.
When the verdict came in and the people, the jury of my peers says, we believe you, it just, the world is round.
Google your name sometime and then buckle up. Instead of finding your name and your phone number scrawled on a restroom wall, scorned lovers can now post naughty pictures of you on the internet.
Tonight, the story of an expensive lesson. This story begins with a young woman who posed for nude photos. The boyfriend is accused of posting the photos on a revenge porn website. I caught up with him outside the courthouse, and he began a crude tirade.
Suck my. Is it appropriate to finagle your way into getting some nude photos of an ex-girlfriend and try to share them?
Suck my.
It's the year after this case with Hulk Hogan in 2013 that legislation finally starts to emerge to make it illegal to share pornographic material that is non-consensual.
For years, if your intimate photos appeared online without your consent, something often called revenge porn, there wasn't much you could do about it. But that is changing. More than a dozen states now have laws against it.
The initial reaction, actually, to looking at this subject, particularly in law enforcement, who would say, oh, come on. There was a picture of her, of course it was going to get public at some point, and this blame the victim thing sent me to the moon.
A couple years later in 2015, this type of content gets banned on Google and Twitter and Reddit, and it was not until this month, in 2022, that a law finally went into effect that lets you sue somebody in federal court for sharing an explicit image of you without your consent. So this whole issue of privacy on the internet is still being hashed out today, and obviously in hindsight, Pam and Tommy's experiences and how they were treated by the media at the time look much different, right? And that's probably one of the reasons why Hulu decided to retell the wild tale of their sex tape in a flashy news story with lots of skin and sex, and once it came out, it started a huge fight on the internet. You've been watching an excerpt from my video on the savage scammer behind the release of Pam and Tommy's honeymoon tape, and there is so much more to this story, so if you want to see the full video, you can find that link down in the description, or you can search YouTube for Pam and Tommy by Mary Betsy.